We back with the Floating Head Chronicles. Happy Wednesday, everybody. And we finally have some sort of update for J.P. Miller. We all know that we're never going to get true justice for Mica Miller, his wife that we know in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, that he had a part of or was around or helped. Something happened with Mica, and we know it was at the hands of this man. None of that story lined up, even though they listed it as a self-unaliving. Um, no, there was just too much that this woman knew, and coming into that, we have somebody who is coming after JP for what happened to her. And she's alleging that when she was 15 years old, that he SA'd her. Now, we all know J.P. Miller is just a man of God. You know, he's definitely been running this cult, is what I'm going to call it, and had a pretty good following. They were getting enough to get a plane so he could travel to and from, and they had all these funds that were rolling in. And only when Mica started stating that things that he was doing was not appropriate and was illegal, and she was taking a stance and saying, "Hey, you're cheating on me. You're doing all this stuff. You're doing these things with like young children." She had a suspicion, and he had admitted to a lot of the things that were saying that he had addictions that stemmed from his past childhood and all this. Always an excuse or reason with JP. That's what he does, is try to manipulate and figure out how to control people, which he's pretty successful in this cult level. But of course, because he uses his power to manipulate and exploit, this is what happens. And wow, man. If you look below, his dad's church and everything, everybody going to be held accountable, hopefully. They're stating that he's misrepresenting the church's safety, not actually having adequate protections for the youth. He created an environment where abuse could thrive. So she attended this when she visited her grandparents for the summer of 1998. And she's basically stating that she suppressed the memory of such a trauma from when she was young, but when she re-met up with him at the church in 2023, an event took place which triggered the memory of what had happened, and now she's seeking action. So I'm just hoping that there's enough proof or something to hold this man accountable. He did have two prior wives that said that. And we already know that Mica used to babysit his children, as she was a minor of the church when he was using her to babysit his kids. And then that became his wife. So this is not uncommon. We always had thought that he's had inappropriate relationships with children of the church that were teenagers, and using his title and using these excuses like troubled individual, reckless behavior, and child out of wedlock, and yada yada. It's always poor J.P. Miller and why he justifies why the things are okay. Now, I'm just hoping that something sticks, because we got to save the youth, at least in that group. All right? When you're in that kind of a setting, these people don't leave. They stay there representing this church that they've been going to the whole time and putting these youth children at risk. Now, 2023 comes around, and supposedly, allegedly, he inappropriately touched this woman for the second time now. So she actually said something and said, "Hey, like, you have a pastor, you should be, protecting people and not using your name and title to do inappropriate things." And he says, "No man is without sin and temptation. God understands that." Now, that's just crazy in itself, J.P. Miller. But remember, going back up, here's parts of where his two wives. So Allison got sole custody of the kids in 2024 and Susan in 2001. And mind you, Mica had already addressed these issues and stating he had some issues in the very inappropriate relations, and she was tired of it as well. Now, in addition to his affair with Mica, you can read the rest because I'll be canceled if I read that out loud. Please screenshot and read for yourself. Now, I could just be biased, but because I know that he was responsible for what happened with Mica, I don't think that she self-unalived, okay? I think that she knew too much information, and at the hands of this man, she's no longer here. She literally could have taken away everything from him. She knew everything. From the time that she was a child babysitting, she could say so much that would ruin this guy's life. So it was very obvious why she wasn't going to be around for long. But it's just sad because if you ever heard this guy's sermons, most of them are removed off of YouTube. You can see some floating around on TikTok. They removed most of mine because he did have these long sermons that he had on his YouTube page before his attorney told him to take it down. And granted, it was they were insane. Okay, he basically takes the Bible and he spins it into context of how he wants to portray it, and none of it was right. Like talking about if your wife is and you were having problems and you're physical, you guys handle that between each other and you don't tell other people of the church. Like he was shunning people because his wife reached out for help and somebody offered to help and he saw the text messages. He did a whole sermon blasting these people that were involved, calling them out, talking about his wife. He actually got his wife committed, saying that she was just mentally not there. When what? This was just like so bizarre for me that his sermons were off the wall. I wasted so much time of my life watching them because I was just like, how is anybody even listening to this and believing it? There are so many people in this world that will drink the Kool-Aid, but this man needs to be canceled. Shut his church down. He should not be doing any sort of sermon for anybody. Anybody following this man, you need help because you are equally contributing to what's happening to these minors that are underneath his supervision. I want to know what you guys think because I can't stand JP. And I've been waiting for this guy to get arrested. It was just that one clip where he, like, pointed his finger at somebody or tapped her or whatever and got arrested. And then just dead silence. But now something at least is coming forward, and I'm hoping that it starts a Me Too movement where other people that were part of that or maybe no longer part of the church will stand up together, united, and get this man behind bars where he belongs. Let me know what you guys think. Please tag me if you see any of these things because I just can't with this guy, and it's been irky for me, and I just can't let it go until I see him behind bars. So let me know your guys' opinions over here, what you found in your journeys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.